Okay, well, this is JV Crum III. I'm here with Marcus Aurelius Anderson, and we're doing a Zoom and Facebook Live on how you as a coach or consultant can reach 100K to 250K in 12 months or less. And we are super excited that you're here with us. We're going to go over a lot of information today. We're also going to have time for you to ask your questions, and because we want this to be value-packed. At the end, we're going to be talking about a high performer boot camp that we're doing and tell you how you can get involved with that. But whether you get involved with that or not, this is a training. It's designed to give you valuable information. You're probably going to want to take notes. There are no replays that are sent out. This is live, and your questions and our answers will be live as well. I want to first off, introduce Marcus. Marcus is an amazing guy. We met back in January. We were both speaking at the same stage in Las Vegas. And Marcus is a TEDx speaker. And if you've never seen his TEDx speech, it's incredible. He's got an incredible TEDx speech because his TEDx speech is about the same topic as his best-selling book, which is The Gift of Adversity. We're going to be digging down into that story a little bit later in the training today, but you're going to really be impressed when I tell you what Marcus has done. Marcus was in an accident. He was in the Army, went in the hospital, 40 years old, paralyzed from the neck down, and the doctors told him he would be paralyzed the rest of his life. He'd never walk again. And I assure you that Marcus may be sitting right now, but he isn't just a walker. I want you to know he has black belts in 4 different martial arts. I would say that that's way beyond. That's like marketing, squared or walking squared. So this is Marcus Aurelius Anderson. We're going to be doing the training together, and I'll turn it over to Marcus.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, JV. JV Crum III, the conscious millionaire. Those of you that are on the call already know a lot about him, but some of the things that you may not know, he made his first million at 25 years old. So when I was still in college trying to figure out what I wanted to do, he was already made his first million. Since then, he has created and sold multi-million-dollar companies since then. So that's tremendous. So it wasn't just a fluke making it once. He's continued to do so. And then his podcast, The Conscious Millionaire, is considered one of the top 13 business podcasts in the world. So of course, with his best-selling book, The Conscious Millionaire, it was a number one bestseller, 34 different categories. So that's tremendous. And we're just so excited to have you here. We have a lot of value that we want to provide. So one of the things that I want to talk about are JV and I, when we developed this program, this boot camp, and a lot of the training that we're doing, we see a lot of people that are coaches and consultants, and we see like a theme that they all seem to go through. And one of the things that we see a lot of them have is the fact that they're making money, but they are not making money in the amount of time that they want to make it. So if you make $500,000, that sounds impressive, but if that takes you 15 years to get there, that's not nearly as impressive as if you can make $500,000 in a year or two. So that's one of the things that we see where they're making money, but not as quickly as they would like to. One of the other things that we see is if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a solopreneur, if you're building your own business or your own practice, you wear a lot of hats, and a lot of that pressure comes down on you. So you're the person who everything the sun sets on and it rises and sets on. So all that responsibility is on you. So you feel like you're building your business on your back. You feel a lot of pressure. So it seems like you may not be able to get out and have the kind of freedom that you wanted to initially, which is probably the whole reason why you wanted to be your own boss in the first place. So that's another thing that we see. And then the third thing that we see consistently is the fact that people, once they're kind of stuck in this doldrum where they're stuck in this same place for a year, 2 years, 3 years, eventually what happens is they start feeling this lack of worth. They feel like maybe they aren't worth what they're charging. And then that makes it even harder for them to try to ask more whenever they're charging. So even though their experience level is going up and their quality of service probably goes up as well, they have this double-sided coin where they don't feel worthy of what they have now, and they don't feel worthy of asking more in the next place. So those are the 3 things that we see where they're not making the money in the amount of time that they want to make it. They feel a lot of pressure in their business. They feel like they're not moving forward. And then that lack of worth is one of the hardest things that we see people trying to go through. Isn't that right, Jamie?
Yeah. And something let's go over some of the symptoms. So those are the three biggest problems that we find for both coaches and consultants, and why they really aren't moving forward, why approximately 90% of coaches don't even make 100,000, never get to 100,000, and ultimately go out of business. Because like all entrepreneurs, within about 5 years, most entrepreneurs, 90% or so, are out of business. And it's because they haven't addressed these hurdles. But what are some of the symptoms you might be feeling in your life right now? Well, one thing is you might be constantly worried about paying the mortgage or the rent or the car payment or just your bills every month. Also, you might not feel like you're really getting ahead, because maybe this happens a lot for coaches. If they don't have a business model and they don't have a consistent way of marketing, they don't have a machine built that's built in order to constantly build their business, then 1 month, they got a couple of good clients and they're going, okay, wow, now I can pay my bills. But the next month they might not sell anything, or they sell just very little and it's not enough to get by. So they're constantly feeling like, well, I really am not getting ahead. It seems like, I have to say, I've talked to a lot of coaches recently that are making the same amount of money they made last year, and then that's the same amount they made the year before. And here's the worst part. It's not the amount of money they want to be making. So that's the bad part of it. Also, when you're not feeling like you have enough money, what happens is you often feel like you have to chase the clients. So you have a conversation with someone. This is a breathing human being. They're alive. The blood's running through their body. You can see the breath coming out, right? And they go, oh, they're breathing. All right, maybe I can get them to pay me some money. And so they chase after this person when it's not even the right client, because they never bothered to sit down and really get clarity about, this is exactly who I want and this is who I don't want, because that was a little too scary, because that would mean that some people they couldn't chase, right? They want to be able to chase them off. But chasing the clients never works. I've never found a good client where I had to convince them to work with me. The good clients are excited to work with you, and they're actually excited to pay you. It's not a twisting of the arm thing. Then another thing that happens is you get a client and you work with them maybe 3 months or 6 months. There's some kind of an initial engagement, and then that's it. And the reason that's it is that, a lot of times coaches don't come up with, well, what's the next step I can offer people? How can I take people to their next level? And so there's always another step that you can actually take somebody on using the skills that you have working with an existing client. So not only are they chasing clients, they're not upselling the client to the next stage that client actually needs, that will actually benefit that client. All of that, because at Conscious Millionaire, we're driven by making an impact, driven by making a difference. And in fact, our whole business model that we teach and live is, how much impact can you make? How much of a difference can you make of the type that your client really wants? And then how can you organize your business that, because you're making that impact, they're eager to pay you money because they want to work with you. But it starts with, how can I impact my client? And a lot of times I talk to coaches that are so worn out, so stressed out, so running after the money because they got to pay their bills, that they've really lost their center and their heart space, which is why they went into coaching or consulting to begin with, is that they really wanted to help people. And so they feel like at the end of the day, not only did they not make impact, but oftentimes they're feeling overwhelmed. So these are some of the symptoms you might be feeling right now, and we want to help you eliminate some of this pain, because we want to help you build the right kind of coaching consulting business. So let's start off with talking about goals, because I find that most people aren't approaching goals in a way that's going to maximize their success. At Conscious Millionaire, everything we do is about high performance, and we want you to be a high performer. So I'm going to tell you how high performers approach their goal setting, and not just goal setting, that's right, executing to achieve the goals. So there are 3 steps. This is something you might want to write down. I'm going to give you the 3 steps, and they're like a recipe. You need to do them in this order. And then I'm going to tell you how to do each one of the steps in a way that high performers do them. Not, people who are average don't do this. They're not going to be doing these things, but they achieve average goals. You don't want to achieve average goals. You want to achieve high performance goals. You want to be able to dream big and get to your dreams. And I want you to know that that's absolutely possible. I'm going to tell you right now how to do it. So first, you've got to know what you want with specificity. Second, you've got to know why that's so important. And third, you've got to know how to get it. You've got to have a path for getting there. And you've got to do it in this order. Now, let me go back and let's talk about the what. I encourage you to dream as big as you can dream. It might be the big house. It might be the amazing vacation. It might be how big you can really impact other people. It might be something big for your family, but dream big. Never let go of your big dreams. Now, when you're dreaming big, only dream big. Only dream. Don't do anything else. Don't even ponder, well, how am I going to achieve this? Because here's what happens. This is the rear view mirror, folks. When you start to think about how am I going to achieve it, in the middle of the dreaming process, you interrupt the dream and you start looking in your rear view mirror at what you've accomplished in the past. And no matter how fantastic it was, it's still less than where you want to go. And what you're going to do is look at your reference points, and your reference points aren't going to be the big dream. And you're going to go, well, gosh, I don't really know how to do that. And you're going to stop editing the dream. And then you're going to say the worst thing. I actually did a whole podcast just on this concept, and I called it Don't Be Realistic. That's right. Don't be realistic. Here's what I meant. Most people, and you might have done this yourself, I've done it, you go, oh, that's not realistic. What you really mean when you say that is it doesn't fit within this little box called my current belief system. And then you go, oh, it's not realistic. I could accomplish all that in 7 days. That's too much. I can't do that. I can't get to that big a goal. I can't sell that much. I can't find that many clients. That would be impossible because after all, I just spent the last 3 months and I didn't find that many clients. So it's clearly not possible, right? That's why we don't do the editing while we're dreaming. We just dream. Now, the second part, but when you dream, I want you to be specific. I want to be sure that you've got specific measurable goals. And I'm sure you've heard that before. It's critical, and you need to have a date on which you're going to accomplish those goals. When I'm working with clients, we typically get clear where they want to be in a year, but then we work in 30 and 90-day increments. So it's like, where do you want to be at the end of the month so you've pushed the needle forward so that at the end of 3 months, you're at that place? Because I find people will accomplish far more when they focus that way. Now, the why, I'm just going to go in this and tell you most people, even when they think they have a robust why, have 1/6 of the why they could have. And here's what I mean. Because typically you say, well, why is this going to be valuable to me to get to this outcome, this goal, in 30 days? And you write that down. You write down a whole bunch of good ideas, right? But that's only 1/6 of the picture. The next part of that picture is, well, when I accomplish that in 30 days, that becomes a new floor. What will that allow me to accomplish in the next 30 days? So that's the why of the future beyond this goal. So that's the second part of the why. Then the third part is you want to talk about others. And I want you to picture a specific other. It might be your client. It might be your family, your partner. It might be someone in your community. It might be your team. But ask yourself, when I accomplish this in 30 days, why is that important in terms of the change it will create in their life? And that's the third part. And the fourth part, yes, you probably already guessed it. Then you go beyond that 30 days and go, well, how then, because I'll be able to accomplish more in the next 30 days, how will that impact them in the next 30 days? So that's 4 parts, all right? The fifth part is the community. Now, there's different ways you can think of that. That could be your whole team. It could be the community where you live. It could be your industry. It could be society as a whole. However you want to conceive of it, but it's that bigger group that we're all a part of. And then ask the same question, when I accomplish this in the next 30 days, why is that important for them, this bigger group? What kind of an impact is that going to make on all of their lives or on the group? And then the, of course, sixth part is, what about the next 30 days? So when you fill out all 6 of those boxes, all of a sudden you've got an enormous why. And now we go to the how. And I'm going to give you a big tip that I want you to take and utilize. I want you to use this formula sometime this week. And that is, how are you going to get there? Well, do you see, this is the first time you even get concerned about how you're going to achieve it. But with that big why pulling you forward and this big dream that you want and a specific outcome, I want this in 30 days, all of a sudden your vision is different. And you even start becoming more resourceful. I want you to come up with 3 paths, how you can get there. Write out just 3 simple paths. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this. And look at them. And if none of those, I got a backup plan for you. If none of those you think will get you there in 30 days, then I want you to do one of 2 things. This is very simple, but never give up on the dream. That's the thing you never do. You either take the dream and say, you know, I don't think that 30 days is the right length of time. The dream is right, but the 30 days may not be right. And so then you change that maybe to 90 days. Or you say, I'm going to take it and say, yes, it's 90 days, but I still like the idea. I think I'll be motivated better if I'm going to do something in 30 days. And so then you chunk down a piece of it and you do the first piece. Never give up on the dream. But most of the time, when you come up with those 3 paths, you're actually going to find a way to get there in the 30 days. So this is how high performers approach doing goals. It's totally different than the rest of the world, and it's why they perform at a high level. I want that for you. I want you to take this and start using it in your life this week and getting different, bigger, better, more robust, more exciting results than perhaps you ever have in the rest of your life. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Marcus because he's got a training for you as well that's going to be equally exciting.
Thank you, JV. And just like what JV was talking about, this outlines the way a high performer thinks, as opposed to another person who thinks, I would like to do that, but they allow the semantics of how they're going to get there to dissuade them. A goal is only as attainable as it is specific. And that's why I love the way JV describes the goal setting, because it's not just, this is what I want to do. He gets behind the why. He gets behind how this is going to impact everybody else. And when you attach that meaning to what you're doing, it's going to give you that much more urgency to get it done. So taking that idea of goal setting, when you're a high performer, you don't try to do everything. As a matter of fact, you only try to do a few things, but you try to do the few things that are very, very important that are going to help you get to that next level. They're going to help you make that bigger impact and that bigger income from you, so you get more money in the bank account. And that's the idea that we want to try to give you today. So what I'm going to talk about are, he's talking about the big ideas about looking at the goals. What I want to talk about is the mindset that you have from day to day as a high performer. And again, it's going to be in 3 parts. So the thing that we always have this background dialogue, this default setting that we go to. And that's where our mind always seems to drift whenever we're in between projects, if we're in between calls, in between ideas. But the idea is, if you have this already set up, it will reinforce you and it will keep you propelled forward, and you won't even have to think about it anymore. You'll just automatically go to this. So the first thing you should be thinking about from day to day of the 3, the first thing you should be thinking about are, what are my goals for today? So we've taken these big goals and we break them down. So what are the most important things that I should be doing today? You always have that at the front of your radar. The second thing that we do is we go through and we say, is what I'm doing right now, because you're always trying to reevaluate and reframe what you're doing. So you ask yourself, if the actions that you're taking right now in this moment, are they taking you closer to those goals? Because if they're not, then this will allow you to kind of reframe and refocus, so that now that you're recalibrated, so that you start making that time. You start making that effort to move towards those primary objectives, those most important goals that you have for that day. So one, ask, what are my goals for today? Two, ask if what I'm doing right now is getting me closer to those goals. You don't have to judge yourself if you're not making that progress yet. Just say, okay, well, I'm going to get back on the horse. I'm going to get back on track right now. So that way you put down your phone and you get off social media, or you stop reading through the stuff that isn't really serving you, and you move forward to getting closer to those goals. And then the third thing, which is something that we always talk about, this is very much in the high performer mindset, and JV talks about this with his Conscious Millionaire many, many times, and it's about being present in this moment. So if you're with the client, obviously you want to be very present with what you're talking there, but be present with yourself. If you're going outside for a walk, if you're working out, be present with the thoughts that you allow yourself to have. Be present when you're working out, be present in your diet. All these things reinforce the first few things. So what he was talking about with these big goals, this is fantastic. This is how a high performer thinks from day to day to get you closer to those goals. And the thing is, like he was talking about before, a year seems like a long time, but you have to be able to break these things into small, digestible chunks so that you will constantly make that progress. Because if we look at it at the mountain from the very bottom, it seems unattainable. But you don't think about the top of the mountain yet, just like he says. You think about where you're going to put your hand right now. Where's the next foothold? And you just take that next step, and you keep getting closer, and you keep getting there. And then eventually, before you know it, like he says, in 30 days, you look, and now you've accomplished this tremendous amount. And now you start surprising yourself, and now that belief starts to build momentum. So from that, I want to talk about something else in this training. And it's the idea that we talk about in the boot camp, and we talk about it from a high performer mindset. And the idea is something that's called Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law dictates essentially that the more time you allot something to be given, the longer it will take you to get there. So if you just take it from like a soundbite perspective, the idea is this: most people don't need more time, they need a deadline. And that's what we need, is something that will keep you pushed and keep you propelled. Because most people, let's be honest, they will procrastinate, they'll wait, they'll hesitate, they'll do that later, they'll wait till tomorrow to do that. But the reality is, we don't know what life holds for us. Tomorrow we may not have the opportunity to do these things. So we have to make those decisions today. So Parkinson's law, a great example of this is when I was in high school. Lots of times you would be assigned a paper that was due. And if the paper was due on Friday and they assigned it on Monday, a lot of people will do this. They'll say, well, it's Monday night. I could get started on the paper, but I'm not going to do it right now because I have all the rest of the week to do it. And then Tuesday comes and they're like, well, I still got some more time to work on it. I'm not going to do that. So again, they push it back and they procrastinate. Then Wednesday comes, and now maybe something in life comes up, and now there's an emergency, or you have to work, or something stops you from working on that paper. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, now it's Thursday night, it's about 8 o'clock, and you're thinking, this paper is due in less than 12 hours. So now what do? We actually suck it up, and we actually start doing the work, and we work a lot harder. And it may have taken us 6 hours, and we had to work into the wee hours of the night to get it done. So if it took us 6 hours to get that paper done, we could have easily done that if we would have taken some time Monday, taken 2 hours, Tuesday, take a couple hours. Wednesday, we would have been done with it. But the reason why we didn't act is because we didn't have that deadline beckoning. We didn't have that urgency to get it done. So Parkinson's law dictates that we need to break that law. We need to break Parkinson's law, and we need to use it to push us forward. And that's what we do with these goals. That's what we do with these ideals that we're talking about. So in that mentality, Parkinson's law is something that I don't want anybody to follow. I want you to break it. So most people, again, hesitate. Most people wait. Most people kick it down the road. And if you're a high performer, if you're a person who's successful in business, if you're a person who's successful helping other people, making impact, they don't wait. They understand that their tomorrow is not tomorrow, that their tomorrow is today, and in the decisions that they make today. So the decisions that they make right now impact their week, their month, their quarter, their year. And that is what they use everything for. They're always thinking about right now, what can they do to get them closer to that idea? People that are financially independent and the most successful in their practices and their businesses are the people that understand that they make this decision, and they understand that that decision is going to multiply over time. So if the decision over time is to act and to move forward and to be goal-oriented, which is what we are as high performers, that's what they will always do, and they will perpetuate that habit. But if the habit, on the other hand, is to procrastinate and to wait and to push it off, guess what? That's the habit that will be magnified and amplified 3 or 4 times over. And all of a sudden now you'll think to yourself, wow, where could I have been in 6 months if I would have actually taken that action as soon as I knew the information, as opposed to waiting to go through there. Your now shapes what you're going to have for your income for this quarter, next year, and so on. And there's something else that we see that's so common, and JV and I talk about this all the time. A lot of people think about leads. They think that the more leads that they have, the more successful that they're going to be. But as a high performer, we understand that leads are okay, but a lead doesn't mean anything unless you have a business plan and a business model that will take that lead and take them throughout the next step so that you can help them get to that next level, so you can help them get to a higher level, a high performance level, so that they're able to actually make those decisions and more of an impact, and they can put more money in their bank account.
So let's look at why traditional approaches for coaches and consultants to grow their business typically don't work. And I want you to make a list of these, because you might be doing some of these and feeling like you're spinning your wheels. Well, here's how I approach business. I've made millions of dollars by being very lean, very focused, doing specific things, never trying to do all of this, but instead do this, but do it well and go deep. Now, you've probably heard that before, but it can be really deceptive when you've got all these things out there that are like these shiny objects and these ideas that sound good. So you can end up being fat, just not as a person, but fat in how you're trying to build your business, right? And you don't even realize you're doing it because the ideas make sense. The problem is you're doing too many things that aren't going to really get you building, because here's the problem. Most people who are coaches or consultants, they're dealing with one of two problems right now. Either the problem is, how do I get to 100,000? Because that's kind of like a baseline, and now you've got your business going and you're actually paying your bills on a regular basis and you're not worried about that. Or they're probably asking, how do I get to 250? That's the next milestone. And by the way, the milestone after that is 500 and then 1 million. Those are the milestones. Most people are asking about the first 2 milestones. So when you say, do you want to be a millionaire? It goes, yeah, but I'd like to pay my bills today. Right? So that's, if you got to pay your bills today, that's the one you got to focus on before you focus on how do you get the Mercedes, right? That's not the one to be focused on. So these are some of the traditional approaches. I went out, I researched, and I said, what are most people doing that really isn't working to quickly get them to that $100,000 or $250,000 milestone? All right, so the first one Marcus brought up is leads. Listen, I run multiple podcasts. One of them is Marketing for Coaches and Consultants. I've had some of the top marketers in the world, and many of them deal in the world of leads. That's what they do. That's their business. But here's the problem. If getting more leads were the issue that would get you to 100 or even 250, why is it that 90% of coaches aren't at 100,000? And my answer is, that's not the first step. They're not focused on the right thing. The next thing is, there are people who say you need an info product. That's your answer. But here's the problem. If you haven't straightened out your business model, you haven't fixed that first, and there are a lot of components to that, but one of them is being crystal clear about your ideal client, their number one problem, and the pain underneath it, because they're going to pay you more money for that pain to get solved than for you to solve the problem. If you aren't clear about all those components and you go out and you build an info product, you may be building something that nobody wants, or half of it needs to be different, and you haven't built the group program first so that you can even test it. So that's not the answer. Now let's talk about the book, because I had the #1 selling book on all of Amazon. But when that book came out, I already had a 6-figure coaching business. A book is a great thing. It's a credibility builder. For most people, that's what it is, or you can design it so that it's going to get leads. But how can you write the right book to get leads, if that's what you want to do, until you've built the business that's getting business? so that you actually know exactly who you want to write to in that book. So the book is a second stage item. It's not a first stage item. First stage is getting to that 100 and then getting on a trajectory to get to 250. All right. So, and this makes a lot of sense. A lot of people do it, but it only makes sense up here. It's actually not a good idea. And that is, you go, I'm going to get together with a lot of people who are at the same level I am, and we're going to read articles, and we're going to watch webinars, and we're going to read books, and we're going to talk about ideas about how we can grow our business. You know, not to be rude, but what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that is that nobody in that group has been there. They haven't been up the mountain yet. And they're all talking like, how would I get up that mountain? Well, let's read another book on mountaineering. Wouldn't it be better to have somebody who's actually been up the mountain to say, well, actually, that's not the path, because about a quarter of the mile from here, that path goes off the cliff. You're not going to get up the mountain, right? So here's the deal. That's not the answer either. Well, then what about the mastermind? Because those are so popular. And I've run masterminds, but there's a specific way to run masterminds, and most people don't do it. And you've got to have training and coaching components to the mastermind. And most masterminds, you get together, you come up with some fantastic ideas. There's no accountability. There's no coaching. There's no training on how to do them. And the next meeting, oftentimes a month later, but maybe it's twice a month, you get together again and you all share more great ideas, but nobody's really moving the needle forward. All right, so here's another one. And I go to conferences, but I go to conferences very strategically and already have a business going, right? People go to conferences, they're going to get all these great ideas, and then they go home, and typically 24 to 72 hours, the hype that they got, not hype that it's bad, but I mean the motivation, the pumped upness, that's really what I'm talking about. It's all gone. They got, 50 pages of notes maybe, no time to reread that stuff. And gosh, they couldn't put it into action because they're too busy working in the business. Or you could just buy a motivational tape and listen to the motivational tape, but that's not going to tell you how to do it. These are great things, but they're not going to get you to that 100,000 quickly. So those are some of the things that we found don't actually work. Instead, we've put together a model that we use in the High Performer Bootcamp that does work. Right now, we're almost finished with our bootcamp. We're starting a new bootcamp June 13th. Everybody who's in the bootcamp is absolutely thrilled. They're excited. In fact, one of them hired me and became a $100,000 client just last Thursday, because he was so excited about the results that he was getting. I'm going to be working with him for a little over a year, and we're going to be really building an amazing, robust company. So let's talk about what's in the boot camp. But first of all, let me just tell you, this isn't one of those boot camps where you go press a button. We're not going to send you to some page to buy. That's not what this is about today. You can't do that, in fact. This is, we have to talk. We have to find out, is it going to meet your wants, your desires, your needs? Is it right for you? And are you the kind of personality that's very positive and is going to be supportive of all the other team members? Because the reason the boot camp is working so well is everybody there is a team member. We do hot seats every session, and they're all supporting each other. And then you get a buddy partner. You're going to have a partner in the boot camp that you're going to be doing your exercises with, meeting with once or twice a week. One of them met the first time they met for 6 hours. That was like, I think that set a record maybe forever. I don't know. They had a 6-hour Zoom meeting. And, but you're going to be working with them, learning your closes. You're going to be doing everything with them. So it's all about team. And some people don't work well in that environment. Some people just want to buy a book and they want to, be by themselves, and they don't really like interacting and supporting other people. And that's fine. We're not going to have those kind of people in our boot camp, because we know that when you're moving forward, if you've got a team of people, it's so much more powerful for you. So I'm going to have Marcus tell you about the boot camp, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more. and describe what it is that we're doing in this boot camp to really help you build what you need to build, and specifically just take the actions that are in the fastest path to getting you to that 100,000 or the 250, whichever you're headed for right now. So I'll turn it back over to Marcus.
Absolutely, JV. And the way that we had the bootcamp design, we're going to start with, these are the things that we do with it. And the first thing that we want to make sure that you have as a high performer bootcamp is that you have a high performer mindset, that you understand, just like we were talking about before, what you should be working on, what you shouldn't be working on, and how to be very lean and very specific, because that's going to make you much more laser focused and much more likely to be able to attain those things and be able to get to that next level much more quickly. The next thing that JV was mentioning was about a business model. Business model is key, everyone. Again, leads are fantastic, but if you don't have the business model, if you don't have a way to get them to create something that's high value and that's going to put more money in your bank account as well as more impact on your client, if you don't do that, then you're actually wasting some of that time, and that's not efficiency. High performers have a very efficient business plan, a very efficient business model. The other thing, just like JV was mentioning, was learning how to close. You can have all the leads in the world, but if you don't know how to close, if you don't know how to say what you need to say and convey what you're going to provide to that client, it's going to be really hard for them to want to have what you are offering. So we talk about that, and we actually use the closing scripts that we use to help close and to get to that next level. So that's something that's very important in that capacity. And like he was mentioning before, the model is a step-by-step proven method that will guide you through. So we're going to take everything and rebuild your business model. We're going to go through and show you all the things that we do. One of the other things that we do, like you said before, was if you just have an info product that has information, that's fine. But having that accountability, so we give you an accountability partner. We assign them to you. So this is a person you're going to talk to a few times a week to see where you're at, to encourage you, to celebrate with, to ask for motivation from. Also in that capacity, we have a Facebook group that's run by myself, Marcus Aurelius Anderson. And I go in there and I'm saying, hey, what are the things that you're doing this week? Hey, what are the struggles you're having this week? Hey, what are your victories for this week? And going through like that keeps you accountable, keeps you on focus, keeps you on task, and keeps you in that high performer mindset. And that's one of the key things that we always focus on. The other thing, like JV was mentioning, is these are done live. This is not just something that's recorded and then we release it. This is something where we actually give you laser focused hot seats where you're getting that coaching one-on-one. So a lot of the things that you have as an individual is you may have individual questions about the specific needs of your business or the specific needs of your clients. And that's what we're going to address. And then in addition to having the Q&A, that hot seat really makes you become laser focused about what you're working on and what you're getting to. We also offer the productivity training. So we show you all these things, how to be very productive every day. So again, so you're not just thinking, well, I want to be productive, but I'm not sure how to make an impact, or I'm not sure how to get there. We go through there step by step and we show you all those things. So each week you're going to be given assignments that will give you the next step. And it's a 6-week boot camp, guys. So it's not 12 months, it's not 12 weeks, it's not 4 months. It's called a boot camp because it's very intense, and that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to make you act. It's meant to make you get to that next level. So we're going to ask a lot of you, but if you ask more of yourself, guess what? You're going to get more results. You're going to get better results for your clients, and you're going to get more profits in the long run. Also as a bonus, we're going to be sending digital copies of my book, The Gift of Adversity, to everyone that's a participant in the boot camp. And also we're going to send a digital copy of JV's best-selling book, The Conscious Millionaire. And we're going to send that to everybody, not just because it's something we want to give you, but we're also going to give you assignments out of there to read that, so that this helps you get that mindset, and this helps you get exactly where you need to be so that you can become the best performer that you can and have that high performing mentality. And that's the key to what we're trying to put together in there today. Right, JV?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you want to set up a call, it's a discovery call. It's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. It's a 20-minute call. It'll be with me, and we're going to discuss the boot camp, but we're going to discuss what it is you want, what you need, what you desire, where you are in building your coaching or consulting business. And look, is this a really good fit for you? So I want to tell you what happens in the boot camp sessions. So there's 6 sessions. And each session is designed alike. So there's training and review time at the beginning. Then we have hot seats. So everybody gets to be in hot seats. And what we're going to do in those hot seats is we have a form that you use so you get prepared, because I've run a lot of programs and I found one of the problems is people would show up and they wasted literally their whole hot seat trying to figure out what they wanted to talk about. We give you a form so you figure that out before you get there. You tell everybody in a couple of minutes. Marcus and I coach you, and then we allow time so that everybody in the boot camp can get their, what we call your money insights, your ahas of going, oh my gosh, I'm doing that in my business, or I should be doing that in my business. And guess what? You have a form so you can write that down, so you have a place that you can keep it. And then you have action steps that you'll create from every person's hot seat so that you go back and implement this in your business, because the boot camp is all about hot seats. And then we end with questions and answers to make sure that you are fully prepared. You understand the materials that you're going to be working on for the next week. You understand your assignments. And then you and your buddy are going to get together and you're going to be working on this together and moving forward. So that's how the boot camp is set up. So here's what I'm going to ask, is that if you sign up for one of these discovery calls, and I'd love to talk to you, it's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. And Marcus, can you put that in the Zoom? So if you sign up for these, this is all that I ask. One, that you show up because you made the appointment. Because high performers show up and they show up on time. That's one of the differences between high performers and all the other people in the world. Second, that you come prepared in your mind that you really want to break through. You really want to find out if this is right for you, because you are right now wanting to take your business forward. And then that if you come into the boot camp, that you come into it as a team player, because those are the people we want. We've turned down people for the boot camp because it's like, this isn't right for you. You're either not ready for it, you need to go do some more work, you're not quite there, or you're just not the person who's really going to fit in. And I don't think you're going to get the most out of it. And I don't think you're going to have a good time. You know, when everything's said and done, business should be fun. We should all be having a good time. We should really love the people that we're interacting with. It should be joy. That's one of the litmus tests that Marcus and I have, and we talk about it in the boot camp, is, are you arranging your business so that it brings you joy? So yes, you want to make an impact. Yes, you want to put money in the bank. But if you're not having joy, that's the third component. And that's a big litmus test. I sold a regional trucking line, and I had a 4-story home on the water, and I said, you know what? I'm moving on. You know, this is nice. It's nice to have the Mercedes, but I'm miserable every day. I don't have the joy component. And I made a decision right then that I wanted my life to be filled with joy. And I think your life should be filled with joy, especially as a coach or consultant, because, you know, I think that we are truly some of the called people on this planet, because we're here to create transformation in people's lives. We're here to impact people's lives. And we're going to help you discover what are the 3 components of your wheelhouse that you can bring into your coaching or consultants that will make it so much more powerful and natural and actually easy for you to resolve people's problems and help them eliminate the pain that they have in their life right now, because that's truthfully the number one reason they will hire you and stay with you, is that you're able to show them a path. And we're going to help you learn how to do that so that you do that. We have a business model that's a process, and there are 9 different modules we're going to take you through, and each of those modules build on each other. And it's, I got to say, and I know Marcus feels the same way, it's been so much fun and joyful to watch people have breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough, because that's what high performers do. They break through, and then they break through again, and then they break through again, because it isn't getting there. There is no there. There's just where you are for a moment. That becomes your new place for you to lift off and go to the next there and the next there. High performers are constantly moving up, and that's what we want to train you to be, to think and to believe, to act. And I'm trained in NLP. I have 9 years of NLP, multiple certifications. I was trained by Carol Erickson, who's Milton Erickson's daughter, in Ericksonian hypnosis. And I created a very special audio that is only available in the boot camp. I don't sell it. I don't give it away any other place. It's only for the boot camp, and it's designed to help each person in the boot camp. We ask them to listen to it twice a day, and the people are going, oh my gosh, because sometimes we have people report in, right? It's high performance, accountability. And when we start the boot camp, we go, okay, so we just want to hear, just go around, did you listen to the high performer audio twice a day? And we'll have people say, I missed a day and I could really feel the difference. It wasn't the same. I wasn't as focused. I didn't move forward. I didn't accomplish as much as the days when I was listening to this. And now I can see the value. It makes a total difference. And every one of the sessions, we're going to film it. We're going to give you the video. We're going to give you the audio. We're going to give you the slide deck. So you actually get a home study program that you can go through anything you want all over again. We have people who are in the program who go and listen to the entire meeting that we have all over again because they want that training at a deeper level. And in fact, interestingly, the person who has said that they've listened to it the most times is the person who hired me as their private coach. So that tells you a lot because we've designed this to give you what you need to be a high performer. So I want to give you that link again, and it's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. consciousmillionaire.com/discovery, because it's a discovery session for you and I to sit down, talk together, and just find out one-on-one what it is that you're wanting, where your business is, and where you want to go in the next 12 months. And then we can see, is this a good fit? Is it really going to work for you? So I want to be sure, Marcus, you're handling the chat. Are there any questions that anybody has? Because we want to be sure we've got a few minutes left now, and we wanted to be sure that we had time for your questions. Well, just as a toast to the royal family, I'm going to have a little cup of tea here.
And just like JV was saying, it's so gratifying to be able to see people make that breakthrough in their business and their thinking and their ideas. Bruce Lee was one of the high performers of his generation, right? And he said there are no limits, there are only plateaus. So you'll understand that once you kind of get your mind around this and you start thinking like a high performer, you have that mindset, eventually these things that you used to think were limitations were simply just beliefs that you were allowing to hold you back. And we give you the step-by-step methods so that you can get to that next level. And just like JV said, this is so gratifying. It makes us so happy and brings us so much joy to see these people break through these self-limiting beliefs, make that next level of money, make that next level of impact on everybody around them. And just like he was saying, that's why I love the way that he talks about goal setting. It's not just I'm going to do A, B, and C. It's why am I doing that? What is this going to mean? How's that going to affect not just those people, but all the people around them? How's that going to affect us? And it gives you a very robust why, and it gives you a tremendous amount of urgency to get those things done. So because that's what you need, and that's why we're doing it in a boot camp kind of scenario, as opposed to just kind of throwing things out there and say, here, do this worksheet. That's not enough, because if we don't give you that opportunity to do the work, it's hard for you to get to that next level. It's hard for you to understand more about yourself and your business so that you can get there. So if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. I don't see any questions directly here on this side just yet.
I just wanted to be sure you had time for your questions. I'll give you that link one more time. But first, I want to thank you personally, and I'll turn it over to Marcus at the end. Thank you so much for showing up, because if you listen to my podcast, Conscious Millionaire, by the way, we're working on our 5th podcast right now. I just started production on it last week, and it's I can let you know that the new podcast is interviewing only business owners and leaders who own and they founded businesses that make $1 million or more. And I've got some amazing people who are on that show, and we're going to be releasing that show. Our target date's the last week of June. So I'm just letting you know. We haven't announced it on our list, but I wanted you're here. I wanted to let you know that that's going to be the next show. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I've already begun the ideas, and I talked with our team this morning, and I said, in July, I'm going to start working on a 6th show, and it's going to be the most exciting show yet. And we're targeting that for maybe the end of August or September, because I want to really put good production time into it. But we're going to have some super cool people on that show and relate that all to business and how you can grow your business. So everything we're doing is about high performance. And I want you to know, if you showed up today, it's because you're a high performer. The majority of the people don't show up. And, as flattering as it would be, I could say, oh, these people showed up to listen to me or to listen to Marcus. No, you showed up for yourself. You showed up because you want to take another step forward. You showed up because you're ready to not be where you are and be where you want to be. It's time for you to do it. I think that you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to all the people that you're on the planet to help. I believe that all of us who are coaches and consultants are truly called. I believe it's a spiritual calling. I believe it's why we're here on the earth, that we are people who are called to make a difference in other people's lives as our profession, as our business, as how we create our livelihood and grow our personal wealth, because it should provide all of that to you if you're providing that kind of impact to others. And I know that you can, because you're here. You see, I have never spoken to a single person who didn't have a purpose inside or skills inside that they could use to help someone else. And that's really what coaching and consulting is all about. So Marcus, I just want to turn it over to you so you can, say whatever you'd like to everyone.
Absolutely. And I echo everything that JV was saying. To give you a little bit of a background about me just real quickly, in my TEDx talk and in my book, The Gift of Adversity, when I was in the military preparing to deploy, I got injured. I had a severe spinal injury that left me paralyzed from the neck down. They told me that I would never walk again. And I spent about 4 months in a bed, laying, unable to do anything. And all I could do was think about my life. And I'll tell you honestly, I was very depressed. I was actually suicidal. I would have taken my own life if I was able to. And what kept going through my head was all the things that I regretted and all the things I wish I had done and all the stuff that I wish that I had pulled the trigger on and moved forward on. I wish I hadn't hesitated. And it became really apparent what was really important in my life and what wasn't important. So the idea that I had is I promised myself, if I ever get the opportunity to walk again, if I get the opportunity to use my body any more than what I'm doing currently, I will not hesitate. I will redouble my efforts, and I will do what I've been called to do. And even then I knew that I should be coaching. I knew that I should be teaching. I should be impacting other people and helping them make those decisions, helping them make more impact with their lives. And that's why everything that I do now is with that high performer mindset that JV was talking about. So when you had that tremendous why, that tremendous urgency, it gives you tremendous impact. And that's why we talk about that so often. We talk about having that accountability to help you move forward. The reality is, you can only go as far as you expect from yourself. If you're just expecting a small amount, most of us are compromising, let's be honest. When I was lying in a bed unable to move, I realized how often I had compromised. I had gone with the flow. I had done what everybody else was doing. I went to college. I was kind of doing what everybody else was doing. I got out of college. I took a job that wasn't really what I wanted, but it was a better job than what I expected, at least getting out of college, so I took it. And then I stayed in that mundaneness. And just like JV was saying, we can be financially successful, but be emotionally unfulfilled. And if you're a coach or a consultant, you want to make that impact on other people. You need to make that impact on other people, and you need to create that lasting legacy so that you're making a huge positive impact on the people around you and on the business that you're conducting. That's why we're so excited that all of you are here on this call today, and we look forward to being able to talk to you later on to help you get to the next level so that you can make a bigger impact and a bigger income in the process. And that's what this whole high performer bootcamp is about. So thank you all so much for being on here. We're really excited. If there's no more questions, I think that wraps it up pretty well, JV.
It does. Thank you so much again for showing up for yourself, because that's what high performers do. They show up for themselves day after day after day. And I just congratulate you for being here And I hope that you'll take the information we've given you and put it into action, that you'll approach your goals this week, that you'll approach everything you're doing and think about what we've told you, because this is what will help you take your high performance to an even higher level. So thank you very much for showing up.
Thank you all. You're welcome.